minutes, the eruption rearranged the mountain and its surroundings.
May 18, 1980, photographer Robert Landsburg faced the unstoppable eruption of Mount St. Helens. As ash clouds raced toward him, he protected his precious film with his own body. Those last images revealed the extent of nature's fury. He wasn't the only one. These are disaster victims who captured their final moments.
An earthquake of 9.1 magnitude struck beneath the Indian Ocean,
Quick!
triggering one of the biggest tsunamis in recorded history.
December 26, 2004, the sun rose over Khao Lak, Thailand. Vacationers were enjoying the early morning calm, unaware they were about to witness one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. John and Jackie Nill, a couple from North Vancouver, Canada, began their day like any other holiday morning. They were seasoned travelers and frequent visitors to this tranquil beach resort. The digital camera in Jackie's hand captured their final moments together, a sequence of photos that would later become haunting evidence of the tsunami's approach. The first images showed the couple enjoying their vacation, smiling and relaxed on the sand. But as the morning progressed, the camera's memory card recorded the dramatic change. The water began to recede, an ominous warning sign that many failed to recognize that day. Curious onlookers wandered onto the suddenly exposed tidal flats, unaware of the impending danger. In those crucial minutes, the camera caught a wave forming far in the distance. Each photo showed the water rising higher, inch by inch. A few people on the beach started to notice, but most had no idea this was going to be one of the biggest tsunamis ever recorded. At 8:30 a.m., the camera recorded a catastrophic wall of water churning up sand and mud. The final image showed the tsunami just moments before impact. John and Jackie didn't run. Whether they realized the danger too late or knew they couldn't escape and accepted their fate, we'll never know for sure. December 31st, John's body was found. 13 days later, Jackie's body was recovered. Weeks after the tragedy, an American missionary named Christian Pillay was walking along the beach, surveying the devastation when he discovered their camera, the one that had captured their final moments. The photos it held brought the family both heartbreak and a sense of closure. John and Jackie's son, Patrick, imagines his parents hugging each other, knowing what was coming, and taking pictures just in case someone found the camera. In the end, the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami claimed nearly 230,000 lives across 14 countries. Among them were John and Jackie Nill, but the photos recovered from their camera still tell their story, capturing the calm before the chaos. And those final images have become a haunting reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly everything can change. Years later, another powerful tsunami would strike, and once again, the final moments of those who never made it out were captured. But one of these moments was just a witness to tragedy. It helped save lives.
A devastating tsunami following the great earthquake claimed many lives. But in the town of Minamisanriku in Miyagi Prefecture, about 10,000 residents were saved thanks to the effort of one woman.
March 11, 2011, Miki Endo, a 24-year-old civil servant at the Minamisanriku Crisis Management Department in Japan, made a decision that would echo through history. As the Tohoku earthquake struck, she remained at her post, broadcasting urgent evacuation warnings over the community loudspeaker system. Her calm voice repeatedly urged residents to evacuate to higher ground as the tsunami approached. So the Tohoku earthquake was one of the most powerful ever recorded, with a magnitude 9.0 quake that triggered a massive tsunami. Waves reaching over 40 meters in height slammed into coastal towns, wiping out entire communities in minutes. More than 18,000 people lost their lives and millions were displaced. But in the midst of that chaos, Mickey's determination to save others was stronger than any fear.
A woman's voice could be heard on the loudspeaker across the town. She says never to approach the coast.
Even as the waves tore through the town, she never stopped. Reports say she kept broadcasting from the second floor of the Crisis Management Center until the very last moment, refusing to leave her post. Her warnings gave countless residents the minutes they needed to escape, and she ended up saving thousands of lives. The building that housed her final moments, a 3-story structure, was quickly overtaken by the tsunami. Of approximately 40 people who sought refuge on the roof, only 11 survived by clinging to the rooftop antenna. Mickey was not among them. Her body would not be found until April 23, 2011, over a month later. The aftermath was nothing short of devastation. The Crisis Management Department building where Mickey spent her last moments was reduced to a skeletal red steel frame that stands today as a stark reminder of both the disaster and her courage. Initially, there was a heated debate about whether to preserve or demolish the structure. Many residents saw it as an unbearable reminder of their loss, while others recognized its significance as a monument to sacrifice and a warning for future generations. At first, Mickey's mother, Mieko, wanted the building torn down. It was too painful to look at, a constant reminder of what she'd lost. But over time, she began to see it differently. She remembered how people in northern Japan once placed stone markers to warn future generations not to build too close to the sea. Those warnings were forgotten. This time, she wanted the building to stay, to stand as a reminder of Mickey's courage and the lessons the tsunami left behind. Today, the remains of the Crisis Management Department building stand as a lasting memorial, much like the Hiroshima Peace Dome. Preserved by the town of Minamisanriku, it honors Mickey Endo's courage and the countless lives she saved. Though stripped to its steel frame, the site endures as a powerful reminder of resilience, hope, and the need to stay prepared for the unexpected. The next disaster unfolded in the sky, and one man filmed the moment everything changed. January 15, 2023, inside Yeti Airlines Flight 691, 25-year-old Sonu Jaiswal was just another excited tourist, smartphone in hand, capturing what should have been a routine descent into the city's brand new airport. The plane carried 72 people on board that day, 68 passengers and 4 crew members, all unaware of the disaster about to unfold. Sonu's journey began hundreds of miles away, in a village in Uttar Pradesh, India. He was a father of 3, working at a local liquor store, who traveled to Nepal seeking blessings for another son at the famous Hindu Pashupati Nath temple. The trip was supposed to be a simple pilgrimage and adventure, a break from everyday life. He was joined by 3 of his friends, Anil Rajbar, Vishal Sharma, and Abhishek Singh Kushwaha, all from his home district. The 4 men had left India on January 12th, planning to visit temples and try paragliding in Nepal's Annapurna mountain range. Their excitement was clear in Sonu's Facebook livestream that began with beautiful views of Pokhara's rolling hills, green fields, and cityscape. Sonu's camera panned across the cabin, showing fellow passengers laughing and joking. Sonu finally turned the camera on himself, smiling in his yellow sweater, capturing a moment of pure happiness. But then, everything changes in an instant. Without warning, the plane suddenly veered sharply to the left, and the sounds of laughter were replaced by cries of terror. Sonu's camera shook violently as the aircraft plummeted toward the Seti Gandaki River Gorge before the inevitable crash. In the final seconds, the screen filled with flames and thick black smoke, and then the video went silent, capturing the exact moment when hope vanished forever. Back in Ghazipur, Sonu's family watched the news unfold in real time. His brother Deepak remembers the unbearable wait for confirmation. He said,
"We couldn't believe the news until we saw the video. It was painful."
Despite the overwhelming evidence, the family kept holding on to hope until the last possible moment. But by evening, reality became undeniable. Sonu and his friends were gone, along with every single person on the plane. Rescue workers faced a gruesome scene. The crash site was a tangled mess of burning wreckage in a 300-meter deep ravine. Soldiers used ropes and stretchers to retrieve bodies, working through the night despite the intense fire and treacherous terrain. By the next day, 63 bodies had been recovered, with no hope of survivors. The investigation revealed a tragic chain of human errors. The aircraft's propellers had been accidentally feathered for about a minute before the crash, cutting all engine thrust and sending the plane into an unrecoverable stall. The pilots, including co-pilot Anju Katiwada, failed to recognize the critical error until it was too late. Ironically, Katiwada's husband had also died in a 2006 crash while flying for the same airline. Sonu's video, now widely circulated on social media, became a haunting reminder of life's fragility. It showed that passengers had no warning of the impending disaster, no emergency announcements, and no indication of trouble. One moment they were laughing, the next, they faced unimaginable terror. The next case takes us back to the ground, to a woman who recorded the rising floodwaters around her home, moments before she was swept away.
This is really scary.
Haunting and heartbreaking. The final words of a woman trapped in her house as floodwaters rushed.
August 21st, 2021. The rain hammered down in Waverly, Tennessee, drowning the town in its fury. Inside a modest home, 55-year-old Linda Allman picked up her phone and pressed Go Live on Facebook. As the floodwaters crept higher, she broadcast what would have become her final message to the world.
If anybody's seeing me on Facebook Live, we're being flooded right now in Waverly.
Linda's voice trembled in the 70-second live stream. The camera captured a river of murky brown water, swirling debris, and a desperate mother trying to remain calm. Her son Tommy, 37, could be heard off-screen.
Hear his voice in the video.
I think somebody just hit the sun now.
But this wasn't just another summer storm. Meteorologists would later confirm that over 17 inches of rain fell in McEwen, just miles upstream, setting a new state record. The water rose with terrifying speed, filling creeks and rivers and then crashing through Waverly with the force of a tsunami. Linda's daughter, Victoria, watching from 45 miles away, saw the live stream. Terror gripped her as she failed to contact her mother and brother. Cell towers had failed, and power went out, turning the town into an island of desperation. Inside the house, Linda and Tommy scrambled to higher ground. They climbed onto the roof, but even that couldn't save them. The structure gave way, plunging mother and son into the raging torrent. They managed to grab onto a utility pole, clinging for life as the water surged around them. But fate was cruel. Another house, torn from its foundation by the flood, came barreling toward them. To avoid being crushed, they let go. Tommy went under for 45 seconds. When he surfaced, his mother was gone. Tommy eventually found refuge on a stable roof. When the waters receded, he borrowed a stranger's phone and called Victoria. She knew instantly by his voice that Linda was gone. Her body was recovered the next day. The flood claimed 22 lives that day, including twins swept from their parents' arms. Over 700 homes were damaged or destroyed. The town's elementary and junior high schools were flooded. It was like Waverly's very heart was washed away in minutes. But Linda's live stream remains as a haunting record of a disaster unfolding in real time. Her final words, "Oh my goodness, echo the desperation of a mother facing the unstoppable force of nature. But as the townspeople rebuilt, federal aid poured in, and new safety measures were implemented, one question lingered. Could this have been prevented? And as we remember Linda's final moments, we must ask ourselves, are we truly prepared for the next disaster waiting just over the horizon? But nature's surprises didn't end there. The next story shows how quickly a moment of joy can turn into tragedy. December 9th, 2019, the sky over Wakari, White Island in New Zealand, darkened in seconds. What began as a normal afternoon tour turned into a nightmare. The volcano's eruption was sudden and violent, leaving only 45 seconds between initial warning and catastrophe. Tourists and guides, caught completely off guard, scrambled for survival as the ash clouds swallowed everything in its path. The island, a popular tourist destination off New Zealand's coast, had been showing signs of unrest for weeks. But that day, 47 people, adventurers from Australia, the United States, New Zealand, Germany, the UK, China, and Malaysia, set out on what was supposed to be an unforgettable trip. Most were passengers from the Ovation of the Seas cruise ship, eager for adventure and equipped only with hard hats and gas masks. The tour began like any other. Guides handed out sweets, supposedly to ease the impact of volcanic chemicals, and led groups along well-worn paths toward the crater. By 1:28 p.m., the first group had received their safety briefing, lasting just under 3 minutes. They were told to stay on track, remain together, and follow guides if anything happened. At 2:11 p.m., disaster struck. One group was near a stream bed, the other had just left the crater lake viewing point. Tourists clambered over rocks, desperately trying to find shelter behind what little protection the island's terrain offered. But the pyroclastic density current, flows of hot volcanic gas and rock fragments, raced toward them. The second group had less than 30 seconds to react before being engulfed. The aftermath was immediate and devastating. Of the 47 people on the island, 22 would lose their lives either instantly or in the days and months that followed. The remaining 25 suffered severe injuries, with most requiring intensive care for burns, covering up to 95% of their bodies. The rescue operation was heroic as commercial helicopter pilots risked their lives to bring back 12 survivors before authorities could declare the area safe. The victims came from diverse backgrounds: a mother and daughter from Australia, a German tourist, and several New Zealand tour guides. Entire families were wiped out, like the Hollanders, whose parents and 2 sons all perished. The Langford family from Sydney also lost both parents and their daughter, while their son Jesse barely survived. By the next morning, hospitals across New Zealand were at capacity. The country ordered over 1 million square centimeters of skin from the United States and Australia to treat the victims' horrific burns. 13 injured Australians were airlifted home for treatment. The death toll slowly climbed as more victims succumbed to their injuries. First 8, then 14, then 16, then finally 22. 2 bodies were never found, believed to have been swept into the sea during a storm that night. The tragedy sparked an avalanche of legal action. 13 parties faced charges, including tour operators, government agencies, and the island's owners. March 2024, 6 companies were ordered to pay over 10 million New Zealand dollars in reparations and another 2 million in fines. The legal battles continue, but the human cost can never be repaid. For the survivors, life will never be the same. Many lost limbs, endured dozens of surgeries, or live with permanent scars. Families are forever fractured, parents without children, children without parents. Among the survivors, Australian Stephanie Browett documented her recovery on social media, becoming a symbol of resilience in the face of unimaginable tragedy. The Wakari White Island disaster still stands as a reminder of nature's unpredictable power and the human cost when profit is placed above safety. The next story takes us to another volcanic disaster and to a man who quite literally gave his life for his work. May 18, 1980, just before 8:32 a.m., Robert Emerson Landsburg steadied his camera 4 miles west of Mount St. Helens. He had been documenting the restless volcano for weeks, returning again and again to capture its growing instability. But this morning, the mountain's patience would finally run out. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake shook the region. In an instant, the northern face of Mount St. Helens ruptured, unleashing a 400-mile-per-hour pyroclastic flow that would change everything. But first, who was Robert Landsburg? Born in Seattle, Robert wasn't just any photographer. He had served in the U.S. Navy during the Korean War before finding his true calling behind the lens. By 1970, his work was winning awards and hanging in public buildings across Portland. When Mount St. Helens began to show signs of unrest in March 1980, Landsburg saw history in motion, and he was determined to document every moment. In the weeks before the eruption, Landsburg made several trips to the volcano, chronicling the ominous swelling and growing cracks across its flanks. He captured the mountain's transformation from a sleeping giant to a ticking time bomb. His journal entries grew more urgent, with his final note reading,
"Feel right on the verge of something."
That Sunday morning, he parked his station wagon near the South Fork of the Toutle River. The safe zone was thought to extend well beyond his position. But when the mountain finally blew, the blast zone extended far beyond anyone's predictions. At 8:32 a.m., as the volcano released 24 megatons of thermal energy, equivalent to 1,600 Hiroshima bombs, Landsburg began snapping photographs. He documented the growing ash cloud, its dark tendrils racing toward him. Each frame showed the sky darkening and the world changing forever. Realizing escape was impossible, Landsburg made a fateful decision. He quickly rewound his film and sealed it in a protective canister. Then, in an extraordinary act of presence of mind, he buried his camera and the film deep in his backpack, placed the bag on the seat beside him, and lay his body over it as a final shield. The pyroclastic flow struck with unimaginable force and heat. Temperatures reached 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Landsburg died instantly of asphyxiation by volcanic ash. His station wagon was buried under tons of debris. 17 days later, rescue teams found Landsburg's car. Inside, they discovered his body covering the precious film and camera. Against all odds, the film survived. It was his final gift to science and history. The photographs recovered from that film are haunting. They show the eruption's progression, frame by frame, as the ash cloud grows larger and darker. National Geographic published the images in January 1981, sharing Landsburg's final moments with the world. These photographs remain some of the most important visual records of the Mount St. Helens disaster. Landsburg's sacrifice wasn't in vain. His images provided critical information for geologists studying the eruption's dynamics. They documented the exact sequence of events, helping scientists understand the power and unpredictability of volcanic eruptions. Robert Landsburg's story is one of courage and dedication. In his final moments, he didn't panic, he didn't run. He made a conscious choice to document history, ensuring that even as he lost his life, his work would endure. His last act was both a triumph of humanity's quest for knowledge and a testament to the power of a single individual's commitment. Today, Landsburg rests in Skyline Memorial Gardens in Portland, but his legacy lives on through those final photographs. Each frame a moment of bravery captured in the face of overwhelming destruction. But Robert was the only one lost to the volcano that fateful day.
Now we got an eruption down here. Now we got a big slide coming off. The slide is coming off of the west slope.
We're still on May 18, 1980, the day Mount St. Helens erupted, marking one of the deadliest natural disasters in U.S. history. The eruption claimed 57 lives, though the exact number remains uncertain. Among the voices caught in the chaos was Jerry Martin, a Navy veteran and volunteer radio operator, calling out warnings as the unstoppable pyroclastic flow closed in. Jerry Martin had arrived at the edge of Mount St. Helens the day before, driving his motorhome up onto a ridge to help monitor the volcano's growing unrest. Trained as a shortwave radio operator, he volunteered with the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service, tracking every rumble, every ash plume, but nothing could prepare him for the force about to be unleashed. As the volcano roared to life, Martin watched helplessly from his position. He saw the north section of the mountain blow apart, the earth collapsing, and a towering cloud of ash racing toward him. His voice crackled urgently over the radio, reports of destruction, warnings to colleagues. Then the chilling realization.
When the camper and the car setting over to the south of me is covered. That's going to hit me too.
With no time to escape, Martin's final transmissions became a haunting testament to the power of nature and the bravery of those who faced it. Tragically, Neither he nor his motorhome was ever recovered. They were believed to have been buried beneath the searing ash and molten debris. His last words, preserved on tape, offer a rare and gripping window into those final moments, echoing the fate of 57 victims who perished, asphyxiated or burned under the volcanic fury. While scientists and volunteers like Martin and Robert Landsburg risked everything to study Mount St. Helens, none anticipated the devastation, more powerful than a nuclear bomb, that would reshape the landscape and lives forever.